This is the plaintiff, Cassandra Young. She says she rented an apartment from the defendant, and she was ordered to leave by a judge because she fell a little behind on her rent. The defendant locked her out before she could retrieve her grandbaby's crib and the refrigerator she owned. He never explained why he was withholding her security, as he's required by law to do, and she's here seeking the $4,200 she is most surely owed. This is the defendant, Robert Schick. He says he sent a detailed letter via certified mail explaining how her security was being applied to her outstanding rent, and he's sorry this woman was locked out for non-payment. But being sued here for $4,200 is absolutely absurd, and if you ask him, it's a form of harassment. Owe her all that money? Ha! He's accused of not following the law.
All parties, please use your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff rented from the defendant, and she says that he locked her out and stole her grandbaby's crib. But the defendant says she's a deadbeat. It's the case of rockabye tenant.
Thank you, Douglas. Cassandra Young, you are suing the defendant's company, 335 Grove Street LLC, represented here by the defendant. You're the owner, Robert Schick?
Yes.
Okay, for $4,200.
Yes.
That you feel is owed to you in an $1,800 security deposit that you feel was wrongfully withheld. You're doubling that because you live in a state that punishes the landlord if it's wrongfully withheld, and also a crib and a refrigerator that you left behind. What happened here?
Yes. Your Honor, the night that, I had like 8 days to move.
Well, let's back up. How long did you live there?
Yes, about almost all the way up 2.5 up until 2000, October.
Okay, of
2017.
All right, and who was on the lease? You and two sons?
Okay, in the beginning, it was me and my two sons. Okay, my son, Christopher, he left.
Okay, but who was on the lease?
Well, me and my son, Christopher.
Okay, all right. So then what happens? What happens in October?
Okay, so my son, Christopher, he left in 2016. My other son, Latif, he left a little after.
Okay.
Okay. So then, I called Mr. Slit and I told him, that my sons were no longer there. And I told him, like, the next lease, do not put their names on the lease because they're not.
But the next lease wouldn't come up until when?
July.
Of 2017?
Of 2017.
All right, so did you sign a lease in July of 2017?
No, I did not, because because Mr. Slit took me back into court.
What is your name? Schick?
Schick.
Stop a second.
I'm sorry.
Schick?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
it's Schick. Go
Schick.
ahead.
Okay, I apologize.
No, that's all right.
He took me back into court. I got behind in May and June. I paid him $300, and so that took up the money for May and June.
And then you got behind again in September.
And then,
Did you pay September rent?
no, I didn't.
Did you
Wait, it was
file-
September and October. Those are the 2 months that I didn't pay. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so you didn't pay September rent, you didn't pay October rent. You
Right.
file an eviction for non-payment of rent?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a lease at the time that you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and who was on the lease?
Cassandra and Christopher Young.
Okay, so you, contrary to what she testified, you have a lease that covers October and September of 2017?
Correct.
May I see that lease? And it's signed by both of them?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, there's another lease entered into
yeah,
July
yeah.
17
Right.
that includes both you and
I have.
your son.
I
Did you
have
know that?
I have 217 here.
Yeah. And do you
July
know
1st,
Christopher signs it?
217. Can I just see
Yes,
that,
you
sir?
can. And it's not on 217. It's on July 1st, 2017. So I'll show it to you. But in any event, you file a lawsuit to evict them for non-payment of rent, and what happens?
The court went through, and then they got the eviction.
Was there a hearing? Was there a settlement? What was it?
Yes, it was a non-payment of rent, and there was I don't remember if she showed up or not, but either way, if she didn't show up, then there was a
Were
default.
you there or no?
My lawyer was there.
Your lawyer was there. All right, so you got a default judgment,
Yes, ma'am.
and that included back rent for how many months?
For the month of September and October,
And then did she move out?
either she got moved out or she got locked out. I don't remember exactly.
Okay, how many units do you manage that you have no recollection of this one?
I have a recollection of this one.
Okay, then did she move out or did she get moved out? Those are two different things.
I believe she was out right before the eviction.
Right before the date that the court had set?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the date the court had set?
October 23rd.
Okay, what day did you move out, ma'am?
Right before the last week in October.
Okay, can I see the judgment from the court? What are you suing for? You're suing to get a security deposit
Okay.
back on a place where you have just now told me that you owe 2 months' rent on.
What happened was, he put a security lock the same night that I was moving, out. And I didn't have the tools to take down the crib and to take the, the refrigerator out. So they had to take the doors off to take the refrigerator out. So I didn't have, the tools to take that out. So that's why, I'm suing. But I did call him. I called him several
So
times.
you left that stuff behind?
So I left the refrigerator, and I left the crib, and, a small, another.
Why didn't you just move out when you could move out and take everything with you?
I did, and which.
But you didn't take the fridge and the refrigerator. That's
And-
true
and
complaining.
what-
You're
you know-
suing for that now for $600. Why didn't you just take it with you?
Your Honor, I had just, really basically got back out of the hospital, because, of my heart and of my back. I have a bad sciatica problem.
I know, but you moved everything else. Why didn't you move the crib? And I hear what you're saying. You didn't have the tools. Why didn't you get the tools? There was a
Yeah.
court order ordering you to get out. You
About
waited
8
until the
days.
last minute.
You're right.
I mean,
You're right.
At what point is it up to you to take your stuff out? Where's the crib and the refrigerator?
It was kept for 30 days in storage, and after 30 days.
Show me the proof of that.
That we kept it? I don't have the proof of that.
You just say things. Like, I don't think you, how many buildings do you have? How many units?
About a couple of hundred.
I can't hear.
Couple of hundred.
Couple of hundred. That's what that sounds like. What you're telling me, I don't think you have any specific recollection of this one. I think you're just like, this is what we do. We keep it 30 days. That's because the law says you got to keep it 30 days. You have no idea what happened in this particular case. You don't know when she moved out. You don't know.
No, I didn't know exactly what date you are on it because you have the paperwork in front of you. I'm very familiar with the case. We keep a very clear structure of everything
So
we do.
did you see the crib in the refrigerator?
I did not. My people kept it in storage for 30 days.
So then show me the proof that you kept it in storage.
We don't keep proof.
Okay, so then give me an affidavit from whoever put it in storage.
Okay, I didn't.
It's not laughable.
I didn't bring one. I'm sorry.
Okay, well,
I'm sorry.
all right.
I didn't know I have to bring one. I didn't.
Okay.
So once the tenant moves under these circumstances, is the stuff left behind the landlord stuff?
Yeah, I believe that the landlord doesn't hold any responsibility to hold the stuff. In any case, depending if the tenant talk to the landlord, they will be able to hold their stuff for him, but they do not have any responsibility.
Got your point. Going inside the courtroom.
How did he know you got out? Did you say, okay, I'm out?
The same night.
Okay, so why are you saying that if you're still not out and you still have a refrigerator and a crib you want to go back and get? Why are you saying I'm out that night?
Oh. Well, I took out as much as I could.
How are you suing for $1,800 when you have admitted to me point blank that you owe, how much was the rent?
$1,200.
That you owe $2,400 in rent at a minimum.
Well, I don't know. Legal aid told me that
Legal aid?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Hold on. Let me ask your lawyer from legal aid. Can you tell me why? Legal aid's not in here, are they? Okay. No, that's not how it works.
No, I understand what you're saying.
And so in your lawsuit against him for $4,200, $3,600 for double your security deposit that you say was wrongfully withheld, I don't think so. And the crib and the refrigerator, unless you can show me proof that within 30 days of the October move-out date, you said, hey, wait. I left a crib and a refrigerator, you're going to have a really hard time. Do you have any texts from during those 30 days?
I have one.
Is that a phone?
Yes. This is my son. I texted him to see if he can reach him because he wasn't answering my calls. I had called him I called him like maybe 10 times, and he didn't even answer me.
If that crib is still in the house, if it is, ask Robert, can we come by and get it? That's between you and your son. Based on what I've heard, I find in favor of the defendant in this case.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff fails to prove her case, Ms. Young. You know what?
Yes.
Wasn't such a good idea to sue.
No, but it's okay.
Why?
You know, I just wanted him to just stop, you know, from taking money from my son's check.
Didn't work.
No, so,
You know that?
yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But that's it for this case. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Schick. You know, I got to stop saying, you didn't seem too well prepared for this case. You know that.
We were very well prepared. I'm just not familiar with the paperwork. My lawyer takes care of it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Every time the judge asks you for something, you were having really trouble coming up with it. So anyway, if you have to show up in court next time, get a little better prepared.
Thank you.
Okay. But anyway, thank you very much. Okay. Harvey?
Hey, when the court orders the tenant out, any stuff left behind is abandoned.